and online.
Assalamu alaikum listeners, respected elders, brothers and sisters, good evening. You're listening to Friday Night Prime, once again with me, Amir Suleman, and my co-host, Brother Fasial Mahmood. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. We were just saying how quickly this show comes around again.
Every week.
I hope it's that quick for our listeners as well. It means that we're doing something right on the radio. You're listening to Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. A warm welcome, as always, to our Inspire FM listeners in Luton on 105.1. and our relatively new listeners via the LRB digital network throughout Leicestershire and central London. We're always Facebook Live for you, of course, YouTube Live, online at salamradio.co.uk and via our iPhone and Android apps. So if you haven't downloaded those, please do so. We're always on air for you 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. And as always, we'd like to remind you that Salaam Radio is all about creating unity and harmony within the Muslim and the wider community, trying to deliver the positive message of true Islam and promoting peace and harmony at all times, inshallah. Please make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Salaam Radio, Twitter at Salaam Radio 1062, Instagram, salam.radio, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Salaam Radio in YouTube. You really can't miss us. As usual, with all our shows, you can get involved in today's show via WhatsApp. Send us a message, 07745 278 978, or give us a call and come through live on air into the studio on 01733 602 133. Or you can send us a Facebook Live message. So you're literally spoilt for choice. Now, coming up at 9:30, Brother Fasial and I are going to be discussing the topic of community. Have we become individualistic? What can we do to build a better community? We'd love to get your thoughts on that too, so please do get involved. Also, stay tuned for the show right at the end, because we're going to be drawing 3 lucky winners from our Mahazain competition, which has been running on Facebook for some time. So if you've commented on the Mahazain post on our Facebook page, you are in with a chance of winning. If you haven't, you've still got time, because we're going to draw the winners at the end of the show. But before that, and coming up in a few minutes' time, we're going to be discussing several topics, joined by our guest this week, Father Toby Shering, who's the chaplain at the Peterborough School. And we're going to be discussing his work at the school, the advantages of good pastoral care, and how the school caters for the needs of all faiths and none. So do stay tuned for that. And that's all happening after this from Wakas.
What is my body without soul? Kind of a purposeless tool. What's ambition without goal? It's a worthless jewel. What's the purpose of living if you can't even breathe? And where would I be if I didn't believe in what I can't see?
Now, when I was down, you were there. Running around, you were there. When I was out of control and out on parole, you were there. Yeah, time to repair, damage your career, really don't care. Time for a prayer, so I get down in ruku and say these words to you. When you wanna put it on, they say take it all off. Let no one decide for you, do what you wanna do. Always stay true to you. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, to see the light at the end of the tunnel and still believe. While some spread bullets, some spread seeds. We need to give these kids a reason to believe in themselves. With arms raised towards the sky, you watch them cry for help. We all still get low on vitamin D. Losing your way, the world is mean. Close your eyes and dry your tears. Say your prayers.
I had to blind myself to find myself. I had to feel myself to heal myself. I had to bleed half to death to feel alive. Had to kneel before the Most High to redeem myself. With one foot in the sink and the other on a banana peel. That is the story of all our lives. Life is a struggle, life is a hustle. So flex your spiritual muscles, we gon' be alright.
That is Wakas with Mere Khuda, someone who's been on Friday Night Prime, albeit via Skype. But yeah, interesting artist. If you haven't heard his album, please do check it out. Many streaming services are streaming that. So that's Wakas with Mere Khuda. Now, I'm very pleased to say that we have got with us this week Father Toby Shering from the Peterborough School. He's a chaplain at the Peterborough School and also a priest in the Church of England. His work involves chapel liturgy, pastoral care and teaching religious education. Now, the Peterborough School is a Woodward school, part of a large charity providing Christian education of high quality in a wide variety of school types. Before this, he was chaplain of a large Anglican girls' school in Australia, and before that, he was a priest in a parish in Liverpool. Father Toby, welcome to Friday Night Prime.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, no, you're welcome. We've been trying to organise this for a while.
Yes.
And we're just very glad to have you here. Given we don't have a huge amount of time, and it's quite a bit to cover, and it's an interesting topic, and I'm really pleased that we can cover it on this show, because we try and get a lot of variety on this show if we can. But maybe you could begin by briefly describing the work that you do at the Peterborough School, especially in regards to what kind of services and advice you give the students and staff, etc. That would be great.
Okay, yes. So one of the main things we do in the school is we gather around what we call the Eucharist, which is what other people call Holy Communion, the sharing of bread and wine, and we call that the Eucharist in the Woodard tradition.
Right.
And that really means being a community of thanksgiving.
Right.
So the idea is that we give thanks weekly for our lives, for each other, for the school, for our families. It's for everyone. And although it obviously has a very Christian theme, the Last Supper that Jesus shared with his disciples, everyone can give thanks. You don't have to even be religious to give thanks. So it's an opportunity for the whole school to come together once a week. And we do that in 4 sections. So the youngest children up to year 3, upper preps, lower senior and upper senior. We have a fairly small chapel, so we divide up into 4 groups.
And is that all done on the same day in different sections or in different days of the week?
3 of them on Thursday, 1 on Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thursday's my busiest day in terms of chapel.
Right.
But then for the rest of the week, I'm either preparing for the services with the children and their teachers, or I'm teaching about half of the religious studies during the week to about half a timetable of teaching.
Oh, so you've got quite a large remit, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, your hands are pretty full by the sound of it.
It's definitely full time.
Yeah.
We're not a boarding school, so we do have the opportunity to go home at about 5 o'clock. But it's a full-on day, and that's really exciting. There's always something new happening.
And you've been at the school for, almost 2 years now, isn't it?
Nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years, yeah. And in that 2 years, did you find your feet pretty quickly? How did you find that people welcomed you in at the school? I imagine it was all rather well.
Oh, yes, it's very welcoming.
I
remember being interviewed by the student newspaper after a few weeks, and I said then, I thought the staff were especially welcoming. It's a very small group of staff, so you can get to know everyone very quickly.
Right.
And also a small group of pupils. I didn't teach many in my first few months.
Right.
But you obviously get to know the pupils by name very quickly if you teach them.
Yes.
And that helps you settle into the chapel side of things as well.
Yeah. Well, we were saying off air, weren't we, that I asked you how many students are currently at the school, and you said it's about 450 thereabouts.
Yes.
Which was surprising to me. Somebody who doesn't have children that go to that school. I think externally, from an outsider's perspective, people have got this image of it being a much larger school, but that's clearly not the case. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, in terms of, can you just go over exactly what is a Woodward school?
It's Woodard, isn't it?
Woodard,
I
yes,
said Woodward.
yeah.
I said Woodward as
Yeah.
well, and I heard you say
it's a
Woodard.
common pronunciation.
Yeah.
But the story is that a priest in the 19th century in the Church of England discovered that many children didn't get a good education. So he was determined to gather together money and set up schools which were actually designed for the poor and for different classes of society as he saw them. So he set some up for people who worked in factories, others for the children of teachers and things like that. So he set up different types of schools for different areas of society.
Oh, I see.
And they were mostly in the southeast of England,
Yeah.
on the south coast. But as time went on, people realised this was a wonderful idea.
Right.
And so they've spread. And then after Woodard died, the Woodard Corporation was able to either buy schools or set up new schools,
Oh, I
all
see.
sharing a common ethos. But we go from academies, which
Yeah.
can kind of buy into the Woodard ethos, and Woodard run their own academies.
Right.
We have comprehensive schools that might be Church of England schools,
Okay.
state schools that can sign up and say, we agree with Woodard's ethos. And then you've got big independent schools and very small independent schools. So there's a whole variety. The overall ethos is that it's a high quality education
Yeah.
in a Christian environment open to everyone.
Interesting.
So it's quite an interesting mix,
Yeah.
and it obviously has adapted over the years. When he set them up, it was just for Christians, really, I think.
Sure.
But we've obviously realised that's not the way to operate in Britain
No.
as it is now.
No.
And so we have this very open policy.
And geographically, these schools, I mean, what sort of territory are we talking about within the UK? Are they?
Are there
all
any
over.
other in Cambridgeshire?
Not as far as I know, no. But there's quite a lot on the southeast. There's one in Worksop,
Oh,
near
okay.
Nottingham, Worksop College. We've got one in Wales, a cathedral school.
Oh.
The cathedral school in Exeter, where I used to live,
Right.
was a Woodard school. In fact,
Right.
there was a comprehensive school in Woodard
Yeah.
family, also in Exeter, where I used to teach.
Oh, I
So
see.
it's a big family, and it is pretty much all over the country.
Seems so.
Yeah, England
Yeah.
and Wales.
Wow.
Well, that's really interesting. In terms of the demographics of the school, in terms of ethnicity percentages,
Yes.
what can you give us a bit of insight? I mean, do you get children from other faiths attending, or are they mainly Christian?
Yeah, it's very much a mixed school, and it reflects pretty well the mixture of Peterborough. So I checked on our statistics, and 55% of the school don't say what religion they are.
Right.
45% do, and of that 45%, 63 say they're Christian, 63% say
Yeah.
they're Christian, 20% say they're Islamic.
Interesting.
So we reckon about 5 to 10% of the school as a whole is Islamic, and that matches what the Peterborough statistics tell us.
So it's very representative
So,
of yeah.
yeah. But
Oh,
we
that's
also
it.
have members of every world religion you can think of in the
I'm
school.
sure.
So it's very mixed and very open. And we find, parents come all the time to look around the school. We have open days. They come into the chapel. They're told about this weekly Eucharist and the sharing of Holy Communion.
Yeah.
And they come to the school and their children take part. And we have children of all faiths coming forward for blessings and asking for
Fantastic.
prayer. Yeah. So we manage to accommodate within a Christian environment
Yeah.
all sorts of needs.
Well, that leads me on to the next question, which was how do children from other faiths benefit from the Christian services provided at the school? I suppose, as we're a Muslim radio station, specifically that question is around Muslims. And,
Yes.
and how would you tailor to the needs of students of other faiths or no faith?
Well, one of the main things we do, and I always say this to parents when they come and look at the school, is we have lots of silence
Okay.
in our services.
Right.
And of course, silence is universal.
Yes.
No one is excluded by silence.
Hmm.
As soon as you start speaking, you start to be a bit more specific, and that starts to make people think about whether they belong there or not.
Sure.
But silence is really good, and we encourage silence, and a meaningful silence, not just a lack of noise,
Yeah.
but time to reflect.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel it when we stop after communion.
Right.
We have a long silence, the music stops, everyone feels really quite positive about being together. We've
Yes.
had a good sing, and people can say their own prayers if they want to, if they're not religious.
Yeah.
They've all got something to think about. And it's a really kind of calming and communal feeling through silence and reflection.
Oh, that's wonderful.
The other thing is, of course, that particularly with the prep school, we do quite a lot of Bible stories.
Yeah.
and many of those, the Muslim students will know at least as much as those who will consider themselves Christians.
Right.
They will know the old, what we might call the Old Testament stories.
Yes.
The moral code of Christianity is based on the Torah, which we share in common, although we might disagree a little bit about its interpretation. But ultimately, the foundations are there.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
And the Muslim students often will answer the questions with their hands up. You know, if I want to know something, I want to know what they know. And we also have a prayer space quiet room. So if pupils feel they can't come into a chapel to pray, there are statues and images and things like that. So sometimes people might find that difficult. There is a prayer room as well. So Islamic students can use that if they want to.
But I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm assuming that's a multi-faith prayer space.
Yes,
obviously.
Yeah, anyone can go in there.
Oh, fantastic.
And, you know, we also have obviously the pastoral care structure of the school, which is for everyone. But we also would say, and particularly for Muslim students, pupils that take time off for Ramadan, for example, to celebrate. We have, sorry, not to celebrate, but to fast.
Sure.
And then we have quite a few girls who will wear hijab. And then the refectory will cater for all sorts of different dietary needs. So halal is not a problem.
Fantastic.
And it's just part of who we are. It's not. It's not something we think about really. It just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Second nature to the school. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That really is. Yeah.
In terms of the pastoral care, I feel it's really important, and especially when I was going through secondary school, I wasn't particularly religious, and as you get older, you think, you know what, it'd be great if my kids could have that in school. And I felt, although it's coming back, but it's not really there in schools, whereas in faith-based schools, it's really strong. I mean, could you shed some light on that, how that works in your school?
What we do is we follow the Peterborough agreed syllabus for religious education. So we're not following a Christian or church-based syllabus. It's a multi-faith that covers all the world religions on a spiral, so all the way through prep school and all the way through senior school. So pupils are actually taught, whatever their personal background is, they learn about all the 6 major world faiths, and they're able to ask questions. If there are members of that faith in the group, they don't have to contribute because they might not know very much themselves, you know, but their parents might be quite pleased that they're learning about, say, Islam in a Christian school. If they're not religious, they're learning about the faiths of the people they live next door to. And that encourages, obviously, then respect and understanding.
Absolutely.
Rather than the ignorance, which is behind so much of the trouble that we sometimes experience.
It's so true. It's so true. And, you know, me as a parent with a son who's sitting behind me actually at secondary school, I'm really keen on him in religious education, learning as much about other religions as possible.
Definitely.
It's as you say, Father, it's so important for this to happen in schools. And sometimes I wonder how in depth they go. I sometimes feel they should go into more detail into other people's faiths, I think, because it can only lead to, well, as you say, an undoing of ignorance and maybe even cohesion. One would hope.
It certainly makes the school cohesive because we feel that we understand each other so much better. And people feel we have quite small classes and people feel that they can speak up about something that they personally believe. As I think in a larger school with a larger class, you might feel a bit not as confident. So we feel that people feel at home. So they can speak up, and then obviously you learn even more from each other.
Absolutely.
The more personal you can be, I guess, the more friendly it becomes.
Okay, in terms of working together, especially us working together in terms of the Peterborough School and other faith schools and secular schools, what can we do, you know, to work together?
I think one of the most important things really is the encouragement of good RE. It's compulsory in all schools. I'm not sure if there is still a shortage. I trained as an RE teacher and there was a shortage and they gave us £100 or something as an incentive to train. And I don't think that's there anymore. And I think there is a shortage, and I think we could encourage people to become RE teachers, to view it as an opportunity not to convert people, but to break down barriers and promote cohesion. And I think the encouragement of RE by perhaps providing visiting speakers, encouraging groups to come to mosques and other places of worship, and to say, come and have a look around, come and see what we do, either at the weekend, I know you sometimes do that, but to do that in all communities,
Yeah.
for people of all faiths to be able to say, come and see what we do,
Yeah.
come and learn more, we'll make you welcome, we'll come into your school. I'd quite like to see different faith schools working together,
Yeah.
and schools with no faith base also.
Yeah.
Just to say, let's just have a chat about what we believe and what we think.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's,
young people are
yeah.
quite keen on that.
I think they are.
don't think they want to keep it secret. I think they're
Definitely.
quite keen to talk about the world's problems, and as we know, talk about religious issues and talk about the world's problems, and we might be on the same page.
Exactly.
And we actually need to understand a bit more than we
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
the media, I think, doesn't help us
No,
certainly doesn't.
with
definitely
that.
not.
No.
No. And
No.
so we need to do it ourselves.
Exactly.
And schools are the places for learning, after all.
Yeah,
You know,
and
learning
it should
about
be
each
it should
other.
be an open environment for our youth to ask almost any question they wish. To be honest, it should
Yeah.
be an open and frank dialogue.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way barriers will really get broken
Yes.
down, in my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
exactly, especially
Yeah.
when it's related to anything anti-Semitic
Exactly.
or Islamophobia and those type of
Yeah.
real issues. I think
Yeah.
you've got to actually hit them head on.
You
Yeah.
have to.
It's got to be, okay, we're going to discuss this particular topic.
Mm.
Don't be afraid, don't be shy. And I think that's sometimes we're afraid to say something because
That's
we
right.
feel, oh, I might offend that person.
Mm.
Yes.
Not deliberately to offend that person, but
No.
sometimes we're afraid to say something because
Yeah.
we feel we're going to offend
I think
them.
the other thing that could be a danger with that kind of discussion, I experienced this just a little bit in Australia. People would often say to me, oh, well, we're all the same, really, aren't we? There's no
Yeah.
real... And I don't think that's very respectful
No,
to
I don't
people of
think it
different
is.
faiths.
No.
I think to just say that we have lots in common is obviously true, but to say we're basically the same actually isn't.
No.
There are competing truth claims,
Of course.
but that doesn't mean we can't get on. You know,
Exactly.
We might believe different things, and we have to be honest about that rather
Yeah.
than try and fudge over the differences.
And I think that happens too often, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, even if
Yeah.
you look in the same faith,
Yeah.
if you look, for example, us guys, we have differences of opinion
Yeah.
between us.
Of course.
And it's, especially in this modern day Britain, is how do we handle those differences is the most important thing. And I always think if we can't do this well enough, the next generation won't. They'll really struggle.
Yeah.
Especially those kids who are born and bred in this country.
Yeah.
They've got their own identities and faiths and ideas.
Mm.
And if they don't know how to be tolerant and caring towards each other, they're not
Yeah.
going to be able to handle the situation.
And I think that it's about modelling that rather
Yeah.
than trying to teach it in a classroom.
That's
You know, we
right.
have things called citizenship in some schools. You
Yes.
have to teach them to be a good citizen, but you can only really do that by being one yourself
True.
and showing children that that's what you can do, and
Yeah.
modelling it to them.
Absolutely.
They'll take far more from what you show them than what you say.
And that leads me on to another point, which I've covered on this show, a slightly different topic to this. But my concern is that, unfortunately, there are ignorant people out there and people that are somewhat brainwashed, to coin a different phrase, by the media. And unfortunately, their attitudes filter down to their children. And I know from first hand that those attitudes are then taken into the school, and when you hear the children say these words, you know it's come from the parents.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult because one hand you've got the children that you want to raise and educate the correct way, but then you've got the challenge of changing the opinions and the hearts and minds of the parents that have
Yes.
those. So
Yeah.
it is it's an uphill struggle, isn't it?
It is. I think probably at the prep school level, the junior school level,
Yeah.
Children will just repeat their parents, and they almost worship their parents at that age.
Of course.
The teenage years,
Yeah.
it can be quite nice for them to hear something that's the opposite of what their
Right.
parents have told them, because
Exactly.
they like rebellion. you
Yes.
know. And I think they are genuinely interested in finding out whether their parents are right or not.
Yeah.
So they're quite interested in what we think
Oh, that's
as well.
an interesting point, yeah.
When I don't actually talk about my personal faith in the classroom, I obviously do in chapel.
Right.
But in the classroom, if I say what I think, then
Yeah.
I'm either influencing you for or against me.
Okay.
But I'm a neutral kind of provider of information, really, and
Yes.
to make sure there is respectful conversation. But it's not about what I think.
No.
It's about you actually saying, yes, you might have said what your mum or dad says,
Mm.
but what about you?
Yeah.
Is your mum right? Is your dad right? I'm not saying you go home and argue with them.
No.
But you in the classroom, this is for you to think for yourself.
Yeah.
I have that in the beginning of their books. They stick in a sheet and say that RS is not about what you
Interesting.
believe or trying to change your mind,
Okay.
but trying to make you think for yourself
Yeah.
and get into the habit of finding reasons for what you think.
Ah, that's
Because
fantastic.
then you can't really just repeat what someone else has
No,
said. You
no.
have to think for yourself. And that's the skill we're trying to acquire in RE.
Oh, that's great. It's great to hear that. It's encouraging.
It is encouraging, and sometimes I mention this in the mosque as well, because if you look at our curriculum tradition,
Yes.
it's been, okay, follow this, do this, don't do that.
Right.
And I've always said we're not creating thinkers. We don't want to just regurgitators of information. We want
No.
people to think for themselves
Absolutely.
and come up
Yeah.
with new
Yeah.
ways and new ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. It's been really interesting, and sadly we're almost out of time. Would you
Yes,
believe it?
yeah.
But I want to thank you first of all. I know Brother Faisal does as well for taking the time on a Friday night to come and spend time with us. It's been really interesting and insightful, and for me personally encouraging to hear what's going, because we don't normally get that insight as children tell us what they've been learning in religious studies, but to hear it from a professional telling us what their objectives are and what their mission is, if you like, for the kids, I think it's encouraging.
Yeah,
So
and I think it would be great to have you on maybe in future, talk about a different topic. you know,
Absolutely.
maybe touch on one of these other topics and go in depth on that.
I think it would be great if you'd be up for that.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to come back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, that was Father Toby Shering from the Peterborough School. I hope you found that very interesting. Please do stay with us. We're going to be back with you in about 4 minutes. As I said, we're going to be talking about community and have we become individualistic. And do stay tuned for the 3 winners of the Maher Zain competition. That's coming up in 4 minutes.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
I've just come out of Penny Appeal's Orphan Kind Orphans Accommodation. Brothers and sisters, they've got a kitchen where they're getting fresh food cooked and served to them. They've got foster mothers looking after them. These are how orphans should be looked after. Sponsor an orphan for pennies a day. Call 03000 11 11 11 or visit the website pennyappeal.org. Remember, small change, big difference.
Sefa Turkish Mediterranean Restaurant. We're open 7 days a week, offering meal deals, cold starters, hot starters, house specials, kids meals, grills, burgers, fish dishes and desserts. Seating for families available too. We also cater for birthday parties and weddings. Sefa Turkish Mediterranean Restaurant. Great food at great prices. 349 Lincoln Road, Peterborough, PE1 2PF. Call us on 01733 566 565.
Iqra Academy is the only Muslim girls' school in Cambridgeshire where your daughter will develop her knowledge of Islam and the national curriculum in a safe environment. Ofsted has judged the teaching and learning, leadership and management, pupil behaviour and personal development as good in June 2017. Iqra Academy's qualified staff teach in small classes, and the school is producing sports teams who have a track record of succeeding at national level. With reduced fees and a good rating 3 times from Ofsted, why not consider Iqra Academy for your daughter? Enroll now to avoid disappointment. Please contact 01733 331 433 or email admin@iqraacademy.org.uk.
Do you have lots of clutter at home or in the office that needs to be kept but nowhere to keep it? Ivet Self-Storage offers a secure, affordable, clean and dry home for your belongings. We have security systems in place which are monitored 24 hours a day, ensuring that your items are safe. With a simple monthly payment, Ivet Self-Storage provides secure and tailored facilities to meet your specific requirements, whether short or long term. We offer the best prices and longest opening hours in Peterborough. For more information, please call on 01733 306 456 or visit us at Ivet Way, Westwood.
मेरा नाम आयशा है और मेरा ताल्लुक कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट मीरपुर से है। कोर्ट एजुकेशनल कम्प्लेक्स जरीकस मेरे ख्वाबों की जन्नत, जहां बेहतरीन देखभाल, आला तालीम, बेपनाह प्यार और मेहरबान शफकत हम सबको हासिल है। अब फेज 2 में 500 बच्चों और बच्चियों के लिए रिहाइशगाहें बन रही हैं और इसके लिए 9 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए। मुझे यकीन है आप मायूस नहीं करेंगे।
Kashmir Orphans Relief Trust 0300 123 774 court.org.uk.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس صدق الله العظيم.
You know what, yeah? I can't believe some people think it's so easy to get to paradise. Yeah,
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. Welcome back to Friday Night Prime here on Salaam Radio 106.2 FM with me, your host Amir Suleman, and my co-host Fasial Mahmood. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam.
That was an interesting first half.
It was. I think we should definitely have him down. He's interesting.
He is, yeah. And you know, off air just then, he was telling about his time in Australia, which I think is another half an hour, isn't it?
Easily half an hour, yeah.
So, inshallah, look forward to having him back on soon, listeners. But as I said, you're listening to Friday Night Prime, and do stay tuned, because it's not often we have competitions on Salaam Radio, and there's been one running on our Facebook page. Basically, Maher Zain is touring, a short 10-day tour between the 20th and the 30th of October, this month, literally a few weeks, 1 week even. And there are 3 lucky winners that will be drawn out of a hat live. So if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can see how random it is, just to be totally transparent. And those 3 winners will each receive a pair of tickets to see Maher Zain live later this month. But before that, Brother Fasial and I are going to talk about a topic which is pretty close to our hearts, actually, and that's about have we become too individualistic, and how can we build better communities? Those of you that know Brother Fasial, I know that we like to do a fair amount of community work. We find it very rewarding, don't we?
Yeah, and, definitely. If I could do it full time, I'd do that tomorrow.
I know.
Honestly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
We've often said that. We work obviously to pay our bills, and we earn for money, right? But the passion is the community work.
It's like this.
Like this.
Radio.
Exactly. We're all volunteers. If for those of you who don't know, everyone apart from our station manager is a volunteer here at Salaam Radio. So all the shows you listen to, they're all volunteer presenters. So may Allah reward them all for their time and effort. So we need more people like that. I mean, it's a good starting point, right? We need people willing to come forward. But in answer to that question, brother, about are we becoming too individualistic? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we've been becoming individualistic since. I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
My grandparents' era, they weren't individualistic. They'd always make time for others.
Right.
Whether it was helping somebody or just taking time out, spending time with the extended family. I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Whereas now, to do that is difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even difficult to spend time with the immediate family because we're so bogged down in work and travel and everything else.
Yeah.
Then if it comes down to voluntary work, I mean, I've had people say to me, do you get paid for doing that?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether it's a school governor role.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do that anymore, but whatever it was in the past, the mosque stuff or the radio. So you spend an hour a week on the radio station, you don't get paid for it. And I say, no.
Well, it's more than an hour, right? They think it's an hour because they hear us on air for an hour.
Yeah.
But it's way more than that.
It is way more than that.
Yeah.
In terms of the other bits and bobs we get involved with, and then preparing the show and everything else, it could be 2-3 hours a week.
Easily. Yeah.
And people just don't understand how rewarding that is. One is that it's personal satisfaction.
Sure.
But then we're not doing it just for ourselves. For us, I always think, if we don't do something for the next generation, nobody else will.
Exactly.
Even if there's, sometimes I think, I wish there were more people volunteering, but we shouldn't be negative because...
No.
Yeah. Once you start getting negative and we start thinking, I can't manage this on my own, or I'm not going to do it because nobody else is doing it. If everyone had that kind of attitude, nothing would happen.
That's true. That is true. And while we've said it so many times, haven't we, in the work that we do, that it would be nice to have more volunteers, but that just isn't the case. So you make do with what you've got. And to be honest, most projects, you only need a handful of people, right, to get them off the ground and get them running. I mean, the radio didn't have a huge army of people, right?
No, initially it was 6 people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just shows what can be accomplished.
Exactly.
And I know you're one that's well read in terms of life coaching and motivational books and all this stuff. And there were so many messages that we're not going to regurgitate now, but things about how to stay motivated and how to ensure that hard work pays off, etc. And that's something that's been apparent that I've seen at the mosque that I frequent on Cromwell Road, Masjid Khadija, and the radio station, and and other areas. And there are many groups that do great community work. But what sets those people apart? There's a question for you, and you might not have the answer, but what sets those people apart that are willing to feel that reward, the satisfaction, not the reward, the satisfaction of doing community work from those that just don't get it? I mean, there's obviously a mindset difference there, isn't there? But why does there seem to be so many that don't get it as opposed to so many that do understand why community work is so important?
I really don't have the answer for that.
No.
But it just, in terms of if you look in Peterborough, there is a lot of good stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff.
I mean, there's local charities.
Yeah.
You know, you've got brothers that help the homeless.
Absolutely.
Feeding the homeless. There's a food bank. Well, multiple food banks.
Yeah.
You know, in the mosques, in the churches.
Yeah.
So there is a lot going on. Soup kitchens in churches.
But I've got to ask the question, and you know, it has to be said, right? We were just talking earlier about not avoiding and asking open and frank questions. But do you think it just boils down to people being lazy? Do you think that plays a major part in it? Do you think that people aren't getting involved in volunteer work that helps the community that they themselves live in because they just can't be bothered?
It's partially that, but the other thing is, I can speak for our own community. A lot of the time, we want to do something if there's something in it for us.
Okay.
Right, so I'm going to help you,
Yeah.
but then you owe me one, if you know what I mean.
I understand.
That kind of mentality exists
Yeah.
in our generation. I wouldn't say just in the Muslim community.
No.
It exists, you know.
I think it exists all round, to be
round,
honest.
yeah.
You'll get individuals like that.
Yeah.
But because sometimes I struggle with that. You know, I'm not saying everyone's got faults, right? And no one's perfect. And you make your way through this dunya as best you can. But the point is that sometimes I honestly sit back and I think we could achieve so much more. I mean, at the mosque or at the radio station or whatever it might be, the community at large could achieve so much more if we just had maybe 10 to 15% more people helping out. And then I start to feel a little demotivated.
Exactly.
And I think, why, people like you and me and others, many others, you mentioned charities and other, organizations that work very, very hard to try and, to coin a cliche, put something back into the community and develop the community so there's something for the next generation, which you've just said. But then I get demotivated because I think, well, why are we just doing it? Why aren't others feeling that way? Do you ever have that thought process? Because it happens to me quite regularly.
It happens to me every day. Every day
I wasn't expecting that.
I'm going to forget this. You know, when you see that negative comment on WhatsApp in a group or something, you think, you know what, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know what you mean. And then you've got to pick yourself back up.
You do.
Because as much as we love it, and I know other people who do the work obviously love it, otherwise they wouldn't do it, right?
Exactly.
But as much as we love it, sometimes you do have to keep yourself motivated because you could be spending time with your family, right?
That's right, yeah.
You could be chilling out, doing nothing, but then wasting time's not good either, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've noticed is over the last probably 6 or 7 years since I've been doing this, one is that my friendship groups have changed dramatically. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I still stay in touch with friends that I grew up with, went to school and hang out.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you mainly see those friends when you attend weddings or things like that.
Okay.
And the real friends now are the community work friends,
right?
If you know what I mean, the mosque friends or the radio friends.
Okay.
But going back to your point about numbers, there is sometimes what we find is that we just look at our own little silos as well.
True.
So let me give you an example. The radio station, for example. If we were to list all the shows and all the presenters, there's probably nearly 20 people.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 or 9 shows in total.
Right.
That's a huge number for a voluntary organisation that's only been around just over a year now.
Yeah.
18 months.
Not even that yet.
Not even that.
No.
Then also at the mosque, if you look.
Yeah.
There's obviously you get involved in certain things. I'm doing certain things. I'm actually doing just one thing now.
But that's a plate full of stuff, right?
It's a lot of stuff. It's a plate full, yeah. It's like a big plate, but it's one big plate.
Yeah. Overflowing at the side.
That's it, yeah. Sometimes it's my own fault, though.
Right.
And the thing is, you think, okay, I'll do that as well. This will be great. And, it's really overflowing now. How much more can you pile on? It's literally like that. But the thing is, it's the thirst for actually doing it.
Yeah.
And, I always think, there's always something you can do. And I always see kids and I think they don't have the opportunities that we had. in terms of, for example, youth clubs existed when we were around, when we were kids. There were other activities that happened.
Yeah.
I think there must have been council funding.
Oh, there was
in those days.
Definitely was.
And all that's disappeared. So,
so what is there for them to do, right?
Hardly anything.
There's hardly anything.
Yeah.
They've always got there's always a screen somewhere in their face, right? Of some sort.
Exactly.
PS4 or a phone or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so I hear what
we had that as well. I mean, I had a computer.
Yeah, but we didn't have internet. I didn't have internet.
No, neither did I. But I was on my computer pretty much. I hope my kids aren't listening. I mean, I was on it for hours.
I was, because in 1982 I was 8, and I had my first. I had a ZX Spectrum, the first one, 48K for the geeks out there. You know what I'm talking about.
I had an Amstrad.
I had an Amstrad. I went up to one of them.
Okay.
So I started with the ZX Spectrum, and we're digressing now, but I love talking about this. Then I went to a Sinclair Spectrum Plus with the proper clicky keyboard, and then the Amstrad CPC 464 green
the
screen.
One I had,
with the cassette thing.
Yeah, built in.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Anyway, we're digressing. But the point is, I was on that a lot, right? But I would also be out there in the fresh air, right? Out there and kicking a football around, and I was no good, but still kicking a football around, riding a bike, or whatever. But I don't see our kids doing that now. You have to drag them out of the house.
Yeah.
Whereas in our days, our parents were dragging us in the house.
Yeah, I think the other difference is if you look at the safety side of things. I think things were a lot safer in those days. There were less cars on the road. I remember having cricket matches in the middle of the street because you'd have no cars parked in the middle of the road. Every car was parked in the drive.
Yeah,
and you'd get the odd one car driving past.
That's true.
And you'd put the wickets away. It's literally like that. Whereas now you've got cars driving 50 miles an hour sometimes on these local roads.
It's not safe in that respect. It's not safe also in the respect that there are, sadly, more crimes committed as well. And you just can't be too careful. So I understand that. And we've digressed a little bit, but we were talking about youth. And going back to your point, you said, like the radio station, where we did this with the overall objective of leaving something for the next generation, right? Because at some point others will take this over, right?
Definitely.
And same with the mosques.
Yeah.
Others will take it over. So we need to develop those future leaders.
Yeah. I hope that others take it over while we're here. What I'd like to see is that we're still here. The radio station's being run by the people our age.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's say in 20 years' time, there are still people in their 30s and 40s running the radio station.
Yeah, I understand.
Do you know what I mean? I don't want us to be in our 60s sitting here still doing this Friday night prime. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. No, that just wouldn't work. We'd have to change the name of the show, I think.
That's it.
Friday night, not so prime.
It might have to be a Sunday afternoon.
It might have to be, before my afternoon nap.
That's it.
But no, it's food for thought anyway. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you've got an opinion on what we're rambling on about, please do get in touch. 07745278978 is our WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp in or send us a Facebook Live message or give us a call. We'd love to hear from you on air. 01733 602 133. It'll be very interesting to get your views on this. Something that we often talk about here on Salaam Radio, because at the end of the day, this is a volunteer community radio station, and what better example is there of solid community work than this? And alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, we've had a successful year and a bit on air, and we hope it continues to be successful. So Brother Faisal, I think it's a case of I think you're right. I think we have become too individualistic, and I think people are rather contained in their own little world, i.e. their little families, right? And they don't really want to break out of that. Now, part of me understands it, because some people work very long hours. They work 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, ridiculously long hours, and the only time they have available, they want to spend with their families, and that's totally understandable. But those people that can spare an hour or two a week, that's sometimes all it takes to make a valuable contribution to society, a valuable contribution to the community that you live in, is to just donate, if you like, an hour or two a week. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And if people say they don't have time, I think you can make that time.
Yeah, I think possibly the other thing to look at is that radio is not everybody's cup of tea, for example.
No.
The mosque may not be everybody's cup of tea.
But there is always something you can get involved with.
There is. I think sometimes the problem is sometimes certain organisations, or let's say let's say, for example, let's take Salaam Radio example.
Okay.
Let's say if somebody comes along and they say, we want to do X, Y, and Z, and then we say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Or, no, that ain't going to work. Or then people get put off. I think some of the time, one is that people don't like to fit into an organisation.
Right.
So some people just don't like the structure.
True.
So then they'll go and set up exactly the same thing and do their own thing.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're duplicating effort. We're not getting anywhere.
And that happens a lot,
It does.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
All around the UK.
Yeah.
And sad to say, especially in our community,
Yeah.
we do duplicate a lot of effort.
Yeah.
When we should really be coming together.
Exactly.
And that's a sad situation. But yeah, I think radio is a key example. But there's mosques, there's food banks, there's all sorts of things you can do. There's dawah stalls, there's just so much you can do, and it doesn't have to be Islam-based volunteering. You can you can help out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sister Shabana, your wife, volunteers at Sue Ryder. So there's all sorts of things that you can do.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. But I just think, unfortunately, we are down that road now where people just say they don't have time, but without even trying to make time. So I think it's important.
I think we can understand some people might have financial difficulties. Maybe they're working around the clock. Or,
there is that.
Those type of things. But I think sometimes we've got to take time. One is family.
Yeah.
And then the other is the community.
I think so.
And family and community things can go hand in hand.
They can.
So sometimes what I try to do is, like, for example, your son's here.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. It can't happen all the time.
No.
But certain things. Let's say a program's happening in the community. We should make it a family program, rather than just me and you going there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. And these things tend to be more feasible in the summer months, don't they?
That's right. Yeah.
And there's so much, like the Salaam Radio Summer Festival, and there've been so many, almost every week there was something happening, some sort of celebration of some sort.
There were quite a few of those, actually.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that in previous years, but I don't know if you noticed, this year there were a lot of these festivals happening all around different parks.
That's right.
Peterborough.
That's right. So every weekend there was almost somewhere to go within Peterborough. But that's a good point. So a lot of effort goes into organising those events, and to see them flourish and have the community, all walks of life. I'm not just talking about Muslims, but everyone flocking to these events was really encouraging, because it just goes to show that the hard work pays off. We're going to be back. We're going to take a little break with a track. Actually, this is from Brother Munir Zamir, spoken word artist, if you didn't hear him on the show previously. This is Balance of Fools.
Bismillah. Sometimes the pain is hard to take. There is no worldly medication on offer to ease the burden of a life torn between ideals. Any sign to suggest your brother understands evaporates into the ether made by man to cloak his own fear. So I hide the shedding of this tear. Facing impossible choices and even harsher voices, I block out the road in the hope I can travel without prejudice. Searching for utopia in the hope that the dream one day carries on into the hours of the day. Exploring the reason, the thought behind action, fighting the insecurity, still living even after the cord has been cut. Placing value in effort while cleverness holds sway, seeing myself as the price. What more could I be willing to pay in a circus called life, where the clown kills you softly, navigating like an acrobat on a tightrope devoid of balance. A game where hearts yearn but minds prevail, lives twisted through a lens made for the weak to fail. If religion is guidance, it seems to me man learned it through violence. This seems to be the one wisdom that went the wrong way. If religion is truth, then it appears it was applied with lies. Under the watch of the all-knowing, we paint blood between the green carpet and its blue umbrella in the skies. We wanted the status, we wanted the land, divided up by those that hate us. We listened to the schemes, we sold our ideals. We wanted to go places, we gave up our dignity. We chased the world, we changed the rules. We grew in ignorance, we trusted fools. We chose ease over struggle, we redefined the message. We proclaimed purity over the corpses of our own. We denied our path, we denied our oath. We searched for heaven in a world never built to last. And now you look at me with that anger and animosity, but I am only following the rule of divine reciprocity. Helping man cause man is one. Seeing creed and colours it was meant to be seen. All just one shade of radiance under the sun. Ain't that how it begun? Ain't that how it's meant to end? Peace.
That was Munir Zamir with Balance of Fools, an amazingly powerful spoken word artist. If you haven't heard his stuff, please do check it out. MunirZamir.com, actually. He just releases his stuff free. So, do check it out. We've been chatting, Brother Faisal and I, about the topic of are we becoming too individualistic, and we've really gotten into it. But, things like what can we do to build a better community? And we've got onto the topic of kind of volunteering. Something we've talked about before, but I don't think we can revisit it enough, to be honest, because I just think it can have a very positive impact on the community we live in. On that note, if you do, I don't think there's any harm in reiterating the message. And I know we've got recorded messages that go out, but if you are interested in volunteering for Salaam Radio, please do get in touch. You can email us at info@salamradio.co.uk. and then we'll be in touch with you. But just drop us a couple of lines. You don't have to write an essay, just a few lines saying how you'd like to get in touch, whether that be a show that you want to present, you want to help out on a show, you want to help produce or research for a show, or just get involved in some admin, whatever it might be. I mean, you'll be doing a great service for the community, and we want the station to grow, and it can only grow with people like yourselves who come forward. So inshallah, I think we've got a few new faces I've noticed that come along to Ansar Ali's show, and others, and we just want those type of people to grow, don't we?
Yeah,
we need
definitely,
people,
especially youth. I think one of the things that you should never underestimate is the power of radio in terms of building confidence. Certain skills that are life skills that are transferable.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So certain things that we learn on radio. I mean, I remember learning things years ago that I'm applying now in Salaam Radio. Things that I've never imagined I'd ever use again. No,
it's true.
And this is like basic sound equipment and things like that. And it would be great if not everybody's going to be a journalist, but somebody could come on Salaam Radio and they could become a future radio presenter.
Or a sound engineer, or anything, whatever. There's so many different avenues. But right, we're coming up, but we've got about 3 minutes left, and we need to now, hopefully, what you've all been waiting for, which is pulling the names out of a hat for the Mahrazain competition. So what we need to do right now, thank you, my assistant there, thank you very much. So do you want to give them a shake, Brother Faisal? If you're on Facebook Live, just to make sure this is totally random. Everywhere. Yeah, don't throw them on the floor, please. You can do the honours. We need 3 names.
3 names.
So good luck to everyone that has taken part, and thank you for taking part in the competition. It's been really successful. So we've got the first name. So the first name receiving 2 pairs of tickets to see Mahrazain live is Soraya Nafis. Congratulations, Soraya.
Sorry, is that 2 pairs of tickets or a pair of tickets?
A pair of tickets. What did I say?
You said 2 pairs.
Oh, no. 1 pair of tickets. So 2 tickets. Thank you for that, Brother Faisal.
Okay.
Would have had complaints.
I know.
That's 1 pair of tickets. Congratulations. First one, Soraya Nafis. Pair of tickets will be on their way to you. And then we have Amara Akhtar. Also a pair of tickets for you. That's Amara Akhtar. Congratulations to you. And the final name is Samira Mustafa. So congratulations to you 3. That's Soraya, Amara and Samira, each receiving a pair of tickets to see Mahrazain live. Quick question to our station manager. Which gig will it be? Or is it any one of them? We'll iron out the details. Okay, so our station manager will be in touch with the 3 of you by Facebook message probably, and then we can sort out the details. But congratulations and well done to you. So that's a successful first competition. That's brilliant,
good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's excellent. He is an amazing artist, though, and Inshallah, our station manager is working behind the scenes to maybe organise an interview with Mahazain in the coming weeks. We'll see what we can do. Inshallah, we always try and bring you the biggest and best artists on Friday Night Prime, certainly. But we do try and vary the show as well, don't we? We don't want to just do nasheed artists each week.
Exactly.
We want to have shows like this as well. We're actually tackling issues in the heart of the community. But it was great having Father Toby on from the Peterborough School. I think definitely we need to bring him back on again, because I think he had a lot more to say.
Definitely.
And a topic which I think wasn't fully explored within the half an hour. But we'll learn for next time to maybe give him an hour on the show, or an additional half an hour. But do stay tuned to Salaam Radio throughout the weekend. Inshallah, on Sunday, yes, we'll have Salaam Sports back. But just a quick community announcement. Tomorrow evening, just after Maghrib, which is at 6:11 at Masjid Khadija on Cromwell Road, we have a free event open to brothers and sisters. This is called The Massacre of Karbala. This is an historical analysis by Sayyid Hasnain Bukhari. This is, again, at the Masjid Khadija, starting just after Maghrib at 6:11. This is open to brothers and sisters. Sayyid Hasnain Bukhari comes from a prominent scholarly family and is a research scholar and a PhD student. So do attend that if you can. Have a great weekend. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.